Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a World Chalice deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that can make some absolutely incredible inboards, being able to link climb into all sorts of awesome boss monsters. This deck is especially powerful now that we finally have Ib the World Chalice Synchro Monster back off the ban list. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Chosen by the World Chalice. This card is really good as a 2-up in the deck because you can summon this card off of E-Telity, which is really nice to be able to do, just to give you a monster you can instantly put on your side of the field. This card is amazing to help you go in for link plays, and it's overall just a fantastic vanilla monster to use as a combo piece. We then play 3 copies of Lee the World Chalice Fairy. This card is basically the Stratos of the deck. That if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a World Chalice monster from your deck to your hand. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can send a monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to add this card back to your hand, but you can only use each effect of this card once per turn, making this card a definite 3-up in the deck, helping you search out a bunch of different cards in the build, and this card is just an awesome combo piece. We then play 3 copies of World Legacy World Chalice. This card is so powerful and is definitely a 3-up in the deck, with the ability that if a monster is special summoned from the X deck except during the damage step, you can tribute this card to then send that monsters to the graveyard, which is so cool to be able to do. This card also has the ability, if this face-up normal summoned or set card leaves the field, you can special summon 2 World Chalice monsters from your deck, except another copy of this card, which is an amazing ability just to get you 2 monsters on your side of the field by linking this card away. And also it's very easy to normal summon this card out to your side of the field by using your copy of Mdook to give you an additional normal summon so you can summon this card out to your side of the field. It also has the ability during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the grave to add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand, giving you pluses all over the place. This card is so good in the deck as a 3-up. It's just an amazing card overall. We then play 2 copies of World Chalice Guard Dragon. World Chalice Guard Dragon is probably one of the cutest cards I've ever seen, and this card is definitely a 2-up in the deck because when a card or effect is activated that targets your linked monster, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the grave to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You can also banish this card from your graveyard, and then you get to target a normal monster in your graveyard and special summon a defense position to a zone link monster points to, giving you more resources to be able to put monsters on your side of the field so you can keep link climbing. We then play 3 copies of Draconet. Draconet is a really awesome card that came out at the beginning of the Link era and is really good because when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon a level 2 or lower normal monster from your hand or deck in defense position, giving you access to your copy of your Guard Dragon vanilla monster, which is really awesome because being able to summon out your copy of Draconet is basically full combo in the deck, which is so cool. This deck has so many 1-card combos, it's crazy, and Draconet is one of them, giving you 2 monsters on your side of the field so you can make your copy of Ib, which is really nice. We then play 3 copies of Apple Dragon. Apple Dragon is great in the deck as a 3-up because you play so many different vanilla monsters, and this card gives you so many pluses. Is if you control a face-up non-effect monster, then you can special summon this card from your hand, and also during your main phase, if you synchro summoned this turn, you can banish this card from the grave, and then special summon out a copy of 100 Apples token to your side of the field, which is great to be able to do just to give you an additional monster on your side of the field to keep link climbing. We then play 3 copies of the Agent of Creation Venus. This card is one of the most powerful summons in the entire build because this card gives you so much card advantage and gives you basically an instant link 4 or 2 link 2s, which is absolutely crazy because you pay 500 life points to be able to special summon out a Shine Ball from your hand or deck, which is great to help you link climb using those Shine Balls, which is just really nice. We then play 3 copies of Shine Ball. You've got to play 3 copies of Shine Ball with your copy of Venus to be able to summon these cards out to your side of the field. And even if you open up a copy of this card, you can just summon it out with your copy of Venus, which is really good to be able to do. Or you can use a copy of Link Spider once you summon one of these out to your side of the field to special summon one from your hand if you have a vanilla monster in the hand, which is really nice to be able to do just to get them out of the hand. But these cards are really good in the deck to help you link climb into other cards. We then play a single copy of Yugioh. Yugioh is really good in the deck as a 1-of because this card helps you recycle your resources back into the deck to be able to go in for more plays, because once you establish your field once, that's pretty much what you're going to do for the duel, and you really want to be able to establish an insane board, and this gives you a second chance just in case your opponent board breaks you to be able to recycle your resources and do it again. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just really good as a 3-of in the deck, basically just to use this card to stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of World Legacy's Heart. World Legacy's Heart is great in the deck as a 1-of to help you recycle your resources. It lets you target 2 World Chalice monsters in your graveyard with different names and add them to your hand. And if your linked monster would be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead, being able to protect one of your monsters. We then play a single copy of World Legacy Succession. World Legacy Succession is Monster Reborn for the deck, but you have to summon it to a zone a link monster points to, which is totally fine because we're going to have link zones all over the place. We then play a single copy of World Legacy Guard Dragon. World Legacy Guard Dragon is a great 1-of in the deck to be able to use this card as a Monster Reborn, because when this card is activated, you can actually target a level 4 or lower dragon monster in your grave and add it to your hand or special summon it, being an additional searchable Monster Reborn in this deck, being able to use this card with your vanilla Guard Dragon monster or one of your other dragon monsters in the build. Usually I just use it with the vanilla Guard Dragon once I've gone into the Draconet play, but it's still really good to be able to use in this deck because you don't have to summon to a zone a link monster points to. You can just revive a dragon out of the grave. We then play a single copy of Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave is great in this deck as a 1-of because this card just helps you out stopping your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for your insane combos. Speaking of insane combos, we're also playing 2 copies of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is great to stop your opponent from Ash Blossoming you or Infinite Impermanence you, which we also play Infinite Impermanence in the build. And this card is just great at stopping your opponent from hitting you with a hand trap because you want to combo into all sorts of crazy plays. We then play 2 copies of Transmodify. Transmodify is really good as a 2-of in the build because you can actually use your copy of Lee to upgrade Lee into a copy of Venus, which is great to be able to do, which is why we play the copies of Transmodify in the build. We then play 2 copies of Emergency Teleport. This card is to be able to bring out your copy of Chosen by the World Chalice, and this card is great to be able to use just as an additional like Cyber Dragon-ish monster to be able to bring it out to your side of the field just instantly, which is really nice because this card just turbos out monsters to your side of the field, and you want to be able to bring out monsters as quickly as possible, but you only want to play this card at 2 because we only have 2 targets in the build, and you really only want to resolve this card once because you want to use your copy of your World Chalice to bring out the second copy of your Chosen, which is why we just play this card as a 2-of in the build. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of World Legacy's Sorrow. World Legacy Sorrow is a great 1-of in the build because when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or a monster effect while you control a co-linked monster, meaning 2 linked monsters that are pointing to one another, then you can negate the activation if you destroy that card, being a searchable counter trap for this deck. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is really good as a 3-of in the build, just to use this card to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps, making this card a definite 3-of in the build. This card is amazing in the deck and just helps out a lot overall to lock down those spells and traps columns, but also use this card as an additional negate because you're going to establish some insane boards, and this card just adds to those boards. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Ib, the World Chalice Synchro. This card is really good to be able to play in the deck, and this card is just amazing overall, and it's great that we finally have this card back because the entire deck really does need this card to be able to function. Because this card has the ability that for this card's Synchro Summon, you can actually treat a World Chalice normal monster that you control as a tuner, meaning you can treat your copy of Chosen by the World Chalice as a tuner to be able to make this card, making it extremely easily in this deck. Almost like a copy of Chaos Angel. This was actually the original Chaos Angel. But this card is the ability, if this card is Synchro Summon, you can add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand, and we have a lot of options to be able to search off this card's ability. And if this Synchro Summon card is sent from the field to the grave, you can actually special summon a World Chalice monster from your deck or graveyard, except a copy of this card, giving you the ability to summon out your copy of Lee, so you can then search out additional cards, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur, because this card is a walking negate and really good to be able to make in this build. We then play a single copy of Borreload Savage Dragon. We're playing a lot of different monsters in this deck that are basically link monsters, which makes this card extremely easy to make in the deck to be able to have multiple negates on this card, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Access Code, because we play pretty much every attribute in the entire extract, so this card is really good to be able to make, to be able to pop multiple cards on the field. It's just awesome because you can make it absolutely massive, and it can pop like a lot of cards in this deck. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is great because this card is a multiple monster negate, making this card is really good. We then play a single copy of Ningirsu. Ningirsu is great because this card can help you draw cards and get cards off the field by spot removing them, which is really nice. Play a single copy of Trigate Wizard. Trigate Wizard is really good, but I will warn you guys as you're playing this deck, do not get tunnel vision on this card when you try to summon it out to your side of the field. It's a really good negate, but you can also establish something like an Appaloosa if you want to. This card is really good, but depending on what your resources are, depends on if you want to go for this card, and depending on how many times your opponent interacts with you, depends on if you even want to go for this card. But if you can go for it, and you go uninterrupted, you can make this card extremely easily, and it's really good because depending on how many cards it's co-linked to, meaning how many arrows it's co-linked with, it actually gains some really cool abilities. That if a monster is co-linked to this card and has one monster is co-linked to this card, then this card battles your opponent's monster. Any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is double. If it has 2 co-links, then once per turn you can target a card on the field and banish it. And if it has 3 co-links, then once per turn when a card effect is activated, quick effect, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. This card is an extremely powerful boss monster, and what I usually go for in the deck, but again, don't get tunnel vision on this card. We then play a single copy of Avram. Avram is really good as a 1-of in the deck to be able to use for its arrows. The only downside of this card is you have to use 2 World Chalice monsters to make this card, and it has the ability to gain 300 attack for each World Legacy monster in your graveyard with a different name, and you can tribute a World Chalice monster this card points to and target one other monster in your grave and special summon to a zone this card points to. And it also has an insane ability. If this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand, which is a great ability that a lot of your World Chalice link monsters actually share. We then play a single copy of Lib, the World Key Blade Master. This card is great in the deck because this card can only be link summoned while you have a World Legacy card in your graveyard, meaning your copy of World Chalice will count as one of those. But it's really good because during your main phase, you can set a World Legacy spell or trap directly from your deck, and it cannot be activated while you have no World Legacy monster in your grave. And if this link summon card is sent to the grave as a link material, you can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck, and it's non-targeting. We then play a single copy of Ib. Ib is really good as a 1-up because this linked card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and your opponent cannot target this linked card with card effects either. And if a monster this card points to would be destroyed by card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard instead, and if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand, which a lot of, again, your World Chalice monsters share that ability that if they leave the field, then you can actually summon one from the hand, which is great just to extend your plays. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is insane deck. You don't have to play this card if you don't have it. If you just want to play this deck, you can drop this card for like a Nightmare Unicorn, or even a copy of Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax is an option for you guys. But it's really a good card to be able to play in the deck if you do, because of its arrows, and it's a double interruption. But again, Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax, any of those cards can be substitutes for this card if you don't have it. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is great because it helps you make a lot of cards in the deck, like Appaloosa, or your copy of SP Little Knight, which is just really nice. We then play 2 copies of Imduk. I really like this card at 2. You can play it at 1. I just really like it at 2 in this deck because it just takes any normal monster to make this card. And during your main phase, you can normal summon a World Chalice monster in addition to your normal summoner set, which is a crazy powerful effect. And it also has the ability that if this card battles an opponent's monster this card points to, then you can actually destroy that opponent's monster. And if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand, which you're going to be using that effect all the time. Finally, we play a single copy of Link Spider because we play a lot of normal monsters in the deck. So if you draw into multiple normal monsters, you can just turbo one out to your side of the field using this card's ability, normal summon one out, and then basically use the other one, or use this card's ability to special summon another one from the hand. Like if you open up a Shine Ball, you can basically just summon out Venus, summon out 2 of the Shine Balls, link one of them away for Link Spider, and then use Link Spider to save yourself 500 life points to be able to summon this card out to your side of the field. Plus it gives you a Link monster, which is really nice to help you Link climb. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played World Chalice before, you should definitely give this deck a try, especially now that we have our copy of Ib finally back, which is just so nice. It's so helpful for this deck to help you with the combos, to be able to go in for your plays, and it's just such a fun deck to be able to play. If you guys have never played World Chalice before, you should definitely give this deck a try. So that's going to do for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.